Who'd like to do the invocation? I believe it's Pastor Randy. Yes. Come on up. Come up to the microphone. And he's chairman of the Blackstone Ministerial Association. So that's, I know it's Grace and Rocky Hill.
And Grace, Rocky Hill, and Butterwood.
And Butterwood.
Yes. All right. Some words from King Solomon from Ecclesiastes first before we start. Solomon said, "So I reflected on all this and concluded that the righteous and the wise and what they do are in God's hands. But no one knows whether love or hate awaits them. All share a common destiny. The righteous and the wicked, the good and the bad, the clean and the unclean, those who offer sacrifices and those who do not. Let us pray. Lord, it is a common destiny that we gather together tonight at the Supervisors meeting.
Yes, Lord.
Common destiny as we gather for the good of our community. It is our community that we wish to best, O Lord. And so we pray for your presence to be among us. We pray for your presence to be on our hearts and our minds with the issues, the discussions, and the solutions that come abroad. And so, Lord, we just pray as your presence is here with us, that we will do the things that were pleasing to not only your eyes, but also to your ears. So guide us, O Lord. In Christ we do pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor.
Yes, sir.
Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Be right way, y'all. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A motion to approve the agenda, and are there any amendments?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. There are some amendments here. If you don't mind, if y'all get your pens out and try to keep up with me here a little bit. I want to amend new business. That's on the J2 to include, we got to decide about our June's regular meeting. Our June regular meeting is on Juneteenth, and so that needs to be discussed. Also amend the consent calendar. You'll have it in your, I think Logan has already handed them out. There's somewhere as a K2, and that's reallocation of funds, and we'll have a discussion about that. I think that's all I'm missing.
All right, can I entertain a motion with the changes?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we need a motion to approve the minutes. Has everybody got a chance to review the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Any opposed? All right, hearing none. All right, we're going to delegations from the public. And our first speaker is Teresa Hines. Come on up. Thank you for coming to see us.
Board members, thank you very much for allowing me to speak. Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, my name is Teresa Hines, and I am the owner of the property located at 6039 Old Nottoway Road. I purchased and closed this property last August of 2024. Currently, my daughter and her husband and 3 kids are living there. The reason for my attendance tonight is that I just recently discovered that you plan to put a 300-foot tower very close to where our property line meets. Let me explain. Sometimes around the end of March, my daughter had told me that you, Mr. Bowen, had mentioned something about a tower when you came out to look at the large drain ditch near our property line. I had no clue about this tower, what it was or where it was going, so I paid to have a survey done on March the 27th. After the survey, towards the end of April, I happened to walk along the property line, and I discovered those blue flags near the orange flags, in which we measured to be about 33 feet apart. That is when my daughter and I discovered where the tower is actually going. After going to the county website, I saw that you had a meeting back in February for public opinion of the proposed structure and a special exception requesting to provide a waiver and reduce the setbacks of the zoning ordinance from which the code requires. Neither I nor my daughter were ever notified of the tower or public hearings to discuss the tower. I called you, Mr. Bowen, and he had Mr. Zodi return my call about the letter that I supposedly received. For the record, I never received anything. Mr. Zodi informed me that it was mailed February the 7th to my address in Midlothian, but I never received anything from the county. In fact, I have all my email copies of all the mail that was sent to me from the post office and nothing I received from Nottoway County. Hearing and looking at the transcript from the February meeting, Mr. Zodi indicated that he went, and I quote, above and beyond, letting the property owners know about the tower. When I went into the Planning Commissioner's building on April 30th, I did receive a copy of this letter along with some attachments. Had I known about the public hearings in February, I would have attended. I do have questions, and I have found some discrepancies within the attachments that were given to me. Due to the fact that there was no due diligence performed by the county to notify me or my daughter of this tower, and looking at the attachments and the setback requirements, I am asking that the board reconsider and rescind the setback waiver until all matters can be appropriately heard and discussed. Thank you for allowing me to speak and for your due diligence and attention to this matter. And I want to just let you know that if you're willing to meet with me at any time, just let me know.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hines. Brittany Spivey.
Good evening. Thank you for your time. I am speaking tonight to express my deep concern regarding the placement of the telecommunications tower that will be positioned just 33 feet from our property line, in which, as my mom has stated, that we were not properly notified or aware of until just recently. I urge you to consider the potential long-term health implications, particularly for vulnerable populations such as children and animals. A little about myself. I am a homeschooling stay-at-home mother of 3 small children, ages 6, 5, and 4. I hold a bachelor's degree of Science and Health Administration with over 10 plus years in the medical field, especially in pharmaceuticals, where I've held jobs in retail, home health, long-term care, and hospital care. There's some scientific research on radio frequency from cell towers that remains inconclusive, especially regarding prolonged low-level exposure. However, there have been numerous independent experts and health organizations that acknowledge the need for continued study and recommend a precautionary approach, especially when towers are placed near schools, daycares, residential areas, or animal habitats. In a study conducted and provided by the National Library of Medicine, they have concluded behavioral effects due to the RF exposure, of which includes groups of people occupationally and environmentally exposed, resulting in perpetual and behavioral responses, including fatigue, difficulty in concentrating, an increased frequency of headaches. There was a study in Eastern Europe that they investigated populations exposed to these frequencies, ranging from 50 hertz to microwave frequencies. Complaints included irritability, lethargy, insomnia, headaches, loss of memory, and inability to concentrate. The syndrome was identified as microwave sickness. Children are more susceptible to environmental exposure due to their developing bodies and longer expected lifetime of exposure. While regulatory standards exist, they are often based on short-term exposure and on adults, not children. Animals, too, may be affected in ways that we do not yet fully understand, as preliminary studies have shown possible links between RF exposure and changes in behavior, reproduction, and general well-being. And as a family who takes pride and enjoys the homesteading lifestyle, we currently have chickens, dogs, cats, goats, and we're currently working with the Department of Agriculture to add bees to our homestead. We are strongly opposed to the positioning of this tower as it directly affects our residential state. I respectfully request that the board would reconsider the proposed location of the telecommunications tower, ensure that a comprehensive environmental and health impact assessment is conducted, prioritize alternative sites away from schools, homes, and other areas with high concentration of children and animals, and establish clear guidelines and transparency moving forward about tower placements in our community. Public infrastructure should serve the common good without compromising public health or quality of life. Let's make choices that reflect caution, compassion, and long-term responsibility. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming up.
Thank you.
Mr. Sonny Abbott.
I see some things have never changed.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and especially my friend and constituent from District 2, Mr. Mark. It's good to see you.
Good to be here, brother. Thank you.
This evening, I stand and what I present is a resident and not in any other capacity. You've heard some of what I'm going to ask, but first I'd like to start off by thanking Ms. Norton for making a phone call and sharing with me an answer to some of my questions from last month. And in our discussion, I suggested that the response begged a couple of other questions. For example, I asked last month what happened to $1 million in the investment portfolio, and I was told it went to cover the LCI and other bills. Sounds reasonable.
Could you, LCI, let us know what that
Local
is.
Composite Index.
Okay, for the schools.
Which is just over $700 and some thousand, which is the negotiated price for 8 months instead of 12 and so on. And then I'm going to venture a guess that some of it had to do with wages, you know, making payroll and so on. I thought that was an excellent response. Question is that this month, when you look at the investment report, it went from 14.5 to 14, only dropped to $500,000. So the question is, where'd the other money come from? Because I'm confident that you still paid the local composite index and you had to make payroll and some of those other things. So I know these are math questions, but in not too many days, we're going to be discussing the budget. And it would be good to know, I believe, how much money does the county actually hold? What is that total? Now, I could quote the Code of Virginia again, but don't need to. That's supposed to be reported monthly. In the current fiscal year, we're using $1.6 million out of the reserve. In the proposed budget, it's right close to $1 million, so let's round that off to $2.5 million over last fiscal year and the one coming. Well, when you take $2.5 million out of the reserve, what's left? Can anybody say what that number is? Again, they're math questions. I won't bore you with the budget stuff, but I would strongly suggest that you look at the numbers because not all of them work out. There are some, I'll call it, simple math errors in the document. But thank you for listening. I would hope one day that these answers or responses would be automatic. They would be part of the book, and I wouldn't have to ask. But thanks for listening.
Mr. Abbott, we have to have a library to answer your questions on the win.
That's true.
All right, I don't see anybody else signed up. Did anybody miss signing time in and wanted to speak? All right, we'll move on. We've got a public hearing. You want to introduce that?
Yeah, well, as Mr. French is here,
Go ahead.
don't fall down. Anyway, he will introduce that public hearing, if you don't mind, sir.
All right, yes, sir, Mr. Chair, members of the board, good evening. We're going to have a quick public hearing for our secondary six-year plan for fiscal years 26 through 31. Quick look at the budget detail report for the plan. I'll go through some of our different funding sources and the various projects that this funding is allocated to. So on the cover page, we have our tele-fee funding, funding through tele-fee utilities and such on the right-of-way in the county. For fiscal years 26 through 31, county is being allocated $32,717 per fiscal year, for a total of $196,302 in fiscal year 31. And what really matters is the unpaved road money that we fund our rural rustic projects with for fiscal years 26 through fiscal year 29. County will be receiving $24,091 for each of those years, and for fiscal year 30 and 31, $21,282, for a total of $138,927 in tele-fee at the end of the plan. This all adds up to $335,229 total in funding over the next 6 years. So we'll take a quick look at where that money is going. First few projects in the plan are fully funded. As you look at it, those are our top priority projects, the carryovers that are fully funded, that we plan to begin construction on soon.
Mr. Aaron, let me ask you something. What you're reading is what they did at the last work session?
Yes, sir.
I don't think y'all have that in front of you. I'm
We do
sorry.
not. We do not.
Okay, sorry about that.
So he'll finish and then we'll open the
Yeah,
hearing.
okay, but it's what we talked about last month. I apologize to you.
It's exactly the same, yes, sir.
All right.
Okay, so our funding begins with our unpaved road money going to Route 686 Barnes Lane. That's a raw rustic unpaved road project. We've got $20,000 in carryover from previous fiscal year. We've been funding this project for about a year now, and we will wrap up funding that project in fiscal year 28. Then our unpaved road money will begin funding Route 652 Hawthorne Drive unpaved road rural rustic project in fiscal year 28. Fiscal year 28, that $24,000 will wrap up Barnes Lane and start funding Hawthorne Drive, and we will fund Hawthorne Drive through the remainder of the plan with $21,000 going in 30 and $10,000 in 31. As we discussed at our last meeting, we do have a small amount of that unpaved road money in the last year of the plan that's not appropriated to a project. I put that $11,000 in our balance entry account. So over the next 6 years, we'll work to dedicate that money to a project, and likely through next year's plan, we can select a project and start funding it. As for the telecommunications funding, all of that is going to our balance entry account for the next 6 years of the plan. We've got a $162,000 carryover from last year, and we're going to be getting about $33,000 a year, with a total of $376,154 in that balance entry account for tele-fee at the end of the 6 years, which into 6 years will probably be enough. We can select a safety improvement project on a secondary road to dedicate those funds to.
Okay.
Any questions from the board before we open?
Anybody have anything?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just for point of procedure here, if we don't have this information, did the public have this information available to them so they could attend the public hearing with the correct information?
Was it posted on the website?
I have this right there. Let me ask Andrew that one. Was it posted, Andrew? Okay. Can we, do you have to have it approved tonight? If we have the public hearing now to make sure people doesn't?
I would prefer to, but it was advertised appropriately and copies were made available to the county and at the
I just
residence.
don't have to send that today.
That'd be fine.
As it was advertised, I think we can proceed.
Okay, all right, no problem. Thank you.
All right, like a motion to open the public hearing on the VDOT proposed secondary 6-year plan.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the public hearing is open. On our sign-up sheet, there was nobody. Is now, having heard Mr. French, does anyone wish to speak? Seeing none, I'd like a motion to close the public hearing.
So move.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, public hearing has been closed. Now we're going to go to presentations. Mr. French, did you have anything else? I do have. Okay, your regular report? Okay.
All right. Route 46 Bridge project is still ongoing, needless to say. The weather has been a bit of an impact this week, but no substantial impact to the schedule. Still on completion for July. We could see some paving going on within the next 2 weeks on that project, so we are quickly approaching a completion date. We did do some more patchwork on Jonesboro Road as well. Once the project is done, road's back open, we do plan to go into Jonesboro, do some more substantial reconstruction work on that road and do a total resurface.
It's also Cedar. You turn the first left off of Jonesboro. Make sure you check on that one.
Okay, yes, sir. The 723 and 460 R-Cut project, they're working on phase 1 of that project still. It's going well and on schedule. Current traffic plan will remain in place for about the next 2 weeks, and they'll switch over and move to phase 2 of the project, which will be basically they're going to switch and do everything else on the other sides of the intersection. Previously mentioned at the last board report, some ADA ramp improvements taking place in the town of Crew along 460 through Crew and I believe West Carolina Avenue. Those were complete last week. Quick turnaround on those ADA improvement projects. Our Crystal Lake Road, Royal Rustic, we've opened that project to charges and begun some minor initial construction activities on it. Right now, waiting on some rental equipment to come to us before we really go full force at that project. Tomorrow, I'll be going to a pre-construction meeting for a variety of roadway safety improvement coming to the county. It's 6 different routes that were identified as part of a highway safety improvement program. It's a mixture of state and federal funding. This is a district-wide. They look at a lot of secondary and especially rural routes, and try to reduce runoff road crashes, low-cost kind of countermeasures to increase safety on these roads. Route 49 is going to see some improvements going south out of Crew. Curve warning signs, going to be center line rumble strips from the town limits down to Hudson Way. It is a short strip for those rumble strips, but curve warning signs throughout the majority of that corridor. On 607 Bible Road, I'm going to get center line markings put on that road along with some curve warning signs. 607 Rocky Ford Road, going to get center line markings and curve warning signs as well. 614 Cellar Creek Road, this is probably where we're going to see the most changes and improvements as far as signage. I'm going to get edge line markings, so the road currently has center line on it. We'll have center line and edge line, as well as a variety of intersection curve warning signs and chevron signs through the curves as well. Really help identify those geometric constraints for especially nighttime drivers. Those signs through the curves will help significantly. Same kind of general improvements coming to West Courthouse and Hungrytown Road as well. Those roads have center line. They're going to get edge line markings and a variety of curve warning signs and chevrons too. The best part about all this is it doesn't come out of any of our maintenance dollars. None of the 6-year plan money is affected by it. This is all federal and high-level state funding helping fund these safety projects. So it's really a good improvements at no cost to the county or me at my level in maintenance. Our asphalt work is finishing up on 723. That contractor plans to mobilize to a site on 360 after that, and then moved eastward out of the county. Our primary mowing is nearly complete for this cycle, and we are finishing up some secondaries as well. Although this rain this week is not helping us keep that grass from growing at all. Last but not least, Route 611 Little Creek Road. There will be a planned closure on that road sometime in July to clean a pipe out on that road, large culvert. We've had continuous issues with sedimentation of the pipe and overtopping the road. So
How long will that take?
2 weeks, I believe, weather depending, but it's about 2 weeks to be closure. And we'll go through public affairs and get the public notified in due time before that closure goes in place. Any questions from the board?
No, sir.
I have none.
I have none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you, bud.
All right. Continued department reports. Anything from Gary Easter at landfill?
No report.
Anything from Mr. Bowles, building official?
Building inspections, I would like you to take a note, you do have an addition to your G3. It's not in your book, it's probably as a handout, if you look at that. You know, I know this board gets a lot of complaints. I was on the board myself, and you'll get complaints about, a lot of times, the two hardest jobs to deal with the public is animal control, and I believe the inspectors. So I'm just gathering information. You're gonna start seeing this, but I want to know not just that, you know, and I know this group is a numbers person. You like to see data. We have 146 inspections, so now I'm asking them to tell me how many has failed. Now, I haven't got to the why part yet, but as you can see, 52 inspections failed. That's a 33% rate of failure. Now, is that something that we're not doing right on our side, or is that something the contractors are not doing right, or we got a miscommunication? I'm not sure, but I'm going to be watching that. It's going to be part of your report. I know that y'all have received some complaints of different contractors, and so that's something we're going to take a strong look at and see how we can improve that. But the goal of the county is we want economic development, but we want to do it properly and follow the code. And so, but that's something I've added on to your report so we can monitor that and see. And if y'all do get complaints or misunderstandings, please share that with me so I can talk to Mr. Bowles. Okay? All right.
Thank you for investigating that.
Got one for you.
As you change inspectors, and expectations change. You know, it's a kind of a curve for everybody, so I'm glad that you're looking into it.
Animal controls is in your packet, Mr. Chairman. Piedmont Health District have a meeting scheduled May 27th with Dr. Almond about trying to find another relocation for the health department. The place that they're located is cramped up and small, so we have maybe some ideas, but we're still meeting with a property owner, and so just keep that in mind. And we're still working on that. But the place we have is the place we have now for the health department is not big enough for the people that they have to for the amount of people that they have the load. So just keep that in mind. And that's all on that end.
The library's in our package. And Nottoway County School, anybody? Come on up, Ms. Meyer.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Bowen. On behalf of Dr. Grimes, I would like to sincerely thank you for supporting our proposed budget for the upcoming school year. Your commitment to maintaining the funding necessary for our programs and resources play a critical role in our ability to meet the needs of our students. We recognize that budgeting is never easy and often requires difficult decisions. Your continued partnership is deeply appreciated, and we look forward to working together to ensure the success of every student. On another note, last evening, our school board named Dr. Marsha Martin as the next superintendent of Nottoway County Public Schools beginning July 1, 2025. And I know that she and I look forward to working with you all on future budgets and future projects. And then just as a quick reminder, the last day of school is June 5th for our students, and graduation is on Saturday, June 7th. So thank you again this evening.
All right.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if you would allow me some leeway here, I need to apologize to Ms. Meyer publicly. They had a freezer to go down, and and we had to take the meat and they wanted to take it up to the landfill, and we had to bury it, follow the health department guidelines. And as a cruel joke, I told her, "You need to get up here. We got 5 dead buzzards, and the game warden wants to know who brought this nasty food up here." And and she didn't appreciate that at the time. So we're trying to keep a good working relationship. But I think it is unlawful to kill a buzzard, right?
Yes.
We're protected.
So I apologize to you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'm trying to get myself caught, Ms. Meyer, if you don't mind. What is the budget that was approved for you guys from the county this year? How much was it?
From the school board, it's 36 million maybe. I don't have it right in front of me.
Okay.
It is a little bit larger, but there's also a federal grant in there that's causing an increase in.
Thanks.
That's right, it was like a $6 million
Yeah.
thing that was missing. Yeah, I remember hearing about
Yeah,
that
that's
before.
causing a bigger influx.
Yeah, you're right at 40, right at 40 million.
Yeah.
So the county's giving you 40 million. What is student enrollment right now?
We ended March 31, which is what we get paid on, at 1668. We are expecting a little bit of an influx over that next school year based upon what we're seeing. But we only budgeted at 1,700. Last year we budgeted ADM at 1,725.
Right.
Knowing that we did not come close to that this year, we were not gonna budget at 1,725, so we backed it down to 1,700. I think preliminary numbers, looking at next year, looks like we'll be over the 1,668 that we ended up this year. But, there's a lot of change that can happen in that.
Right.
And there's still a lot of, kindergarten registrations and pre-kindergarten registrations that still have to happen. But we do anticipate probably being slightly under the 1,700, but I always like to give us a little bit of cushion.
Okay.
Knowing that at the end of the year, I do, come back and tell you all that, we can reduce how much
Steve,
your requirement is.
if I may, that calculator right there, could you do me a quick favor? Punch in $40 million and divide it by 1668, please.
All right, let me do it.
School's about 71% of our budget,
Right,
up to 59.
He's trying to get to the per student
Do it
cost.
again.
yeah.
41.
40 million divided by 1668.
$68. 23,980.
So just to round it even, $24,000
Right.
per student is what that, and I understand there's a lot going into that, but you're talking about the amount of dollars. Do y'all realize we're higher than Fairfax? They're $19,000 per student.
Well, and it's inflated this upcoming year because of that big grant. It's been inflated the last several years because of all the federal money. But once that's over, then that number will start coming back.
Oh, so the 40 million should actually be 34 million, is that what you're saying?
If you take out that big grant, it's gonna be lower.
All right, and what about the year before? Was it only 34 million or was it closer to 40?
It was about 32, 31,
Okay.
32.
All right, so the figure then would be 34 million divided by 1668.
And it's hard to. Sorry, my eyes water. It's hard to kind of like take the whole number and divide it to get the per pupil because some of that money is specifically
23.83.
allocated only to certain
How much?
pupils, like
23.83.
special education students.
Must do that right.
So over 23.
25.
It is kind
Yeah,
of hard
25.
to necessarily gauge it just by solely the full number divided
Okay.
by the students.
And I mean,
So
just
you're dividing, excuse me, John, I understand, you're taking the number of students, taking the
divided
total
by,
budget and number of students.
All right,
and that-
because
and
it's
that's
this-
how much per student, is that what you?
right, I mean, typically when you do a budget like this, I would expect that you got $40 million and it's wrapped up transportation, teacher salary, lunches, maintenance, everything wrapped up in one. And when we're higher than Fairfax County, that's concerning. Fairfax, and there's another one up there that was under $20,000. I mean, I don't want to take anything from the kids, but number one, the schools aren't fully accredited and haven't been for some times. And when you go on the Virginia Department of Education's website, you see that they talk about as chronic absentees.
Which we have actually made good headway with that. Our numbers came down drastically last year. I'm not sure where they're at this year, but I know that has been a huge focus.
Yeah, because what I know for sure, y'all got a grant to go head on with this thing with the absentees. I know y'all got a grant for that, which was great, and y'all are working on this. But when taxes keep going up, citizens have asked for two things. They want their children safe, and they want accountability for their tax dollars. And right now, I mean, just glancing around, because I'm not fully involved in everything. I'm still catching up due to my stroke. And that's very unfortunate, and that's not that anybody should suffer because I did. I own what has happened to me, and I'm trying to catch up. But at the end of the day, the 5 of us sitting up here and the staff is tasked with accountability, and the people demand it. So, as I understand it too, the county's paying over the required local match. Is that correct?
We fund about $2.1 million over, and we had a joint school meeting, and at that time went through what they were doing with our extra money, and it generated about $7 million in grant funding. So if you took the 2, they would lose 9. The board decided not to do that.
So if we took the $2 million back, they would lose 9.
An additional 7.
They would lose 7.
7.
So he's referring to like the
Programs.
the programs that the state kind of gives us.
Could you
with.
just talk real
But
quick with those?
that's like pre-K programs, you know, we don't want to have to cut pre-K.
Right.
That's our at-risk funding, that's what helps us get additional help for our at-risk students, tutoring, counseling, and all of that. That is actually where our biggest hit would have come.
Okay.
Because those programs require a match. So you've got your required local effort, which is on SOQ funding. The other programs require a match.
Okay.
And if you don't fund the match, then we can't accept the state money for that. And our at-risk funding, that would have been our biggest hit had we not gotten that match for that, because that would have also affected the SOQ portion of the at-risk funding because of how that is appropriated currently. So we went into pretty in-depth detail, and I'm more than happy at any point in time to go over that with you.
Yes, ma'am.
So that you
It was
hear
a
the
good,
same thing.
we got done with the meeting, it was after 9, so they had a PowerPoint and everything for us, so she can get
And
that
we
to us.
can definitely make sure, hopefully, y'all don't have a copy of that, we can make sure you have a copy of it. But we did try to go through and try to, help you all understand, okay, this is what the match is. If we don't get it, this is what it would entail and what it would hurt.
Okay.
But I will say, we prior to, Dr. Martin being interim director of finance, prior to me coming in, I know that there was many years of just asking for astronomical amount over both the local match and local effort.
Okay.
And we have really tried to teeter that down.
That's well
matter of fact,
appreciated.
This week I just sent Mr. Bowen and Logan an email letting them know what the approximate amount of reduction will be for this year. Now, I don't have the final state calc tool. That should come out early June, so I'll know more to the penny, but got pretty close.
Right.
Just so they know that, hey, this is what your requirement for this year will be reduced by. We made that commitment several years ago, and I've tried to stand by that, and I will try to stand by that going forward as well. Because I do want to be good stewards of taxpayer money.
Yes, ma'am. Well, what I'll do, this is not meant in any way, shape, or form to sound sarcastic or anything like that. I'm being serious. I've got citizens beating down my door for 2 reasons right now, and I'm not even nowhere near joking. My wife is sitting right there, can tell you, the phone won't stop ringing, the messages won't stop coming in. And it's something I can probably sit down and get with Sonny about, honestly. But and this is probably going to sound ridiculous. Is there any grant funding out there to help with the bullying?
There probably is, and that's something I can bring up with Dr. Martin,
Okay.
to see, what we can do going forward. It's gonna be, a topic for years to come. I mean,
Right, and I want to help all I can, because if parents feel that the current students are taking this beating, it's kind of like saying it's pushing others from going, or it's going to even reduce the student population more, which is going to cause a bigger money problem for the school. How can we help is what I'm saying, and this may not be able to answer now. And, the whole thing about student conflict, that's out the window. What we're talking about, and excuse me, I'm going to say, Bill, you're not attractive. And Bill's going to say, well, I think my wife thinks I'm attractive. And I'm going to say, she's wrong. You're not attractive. You know what just happened? We had our disagreement, common disagreement, but when I kept on, I bullied him right then. That's not an adult conflict. That is bullying. If I looked over at Bo and said, Bo, you ain't got no friends. Your best friend's a cow. Bo's going to say, man, I talk to many people. Man, I got, my family loves me. I'll say, I don't care. Your best friend's a cow. And
I'm gonna tell you, you ain't got no friends is the reason you point your finger at me.
That's right.
But no, you're exactly right. Bullying is something that it potentially could have cost a young man's life that my boys know over $1 million recently. Bullying's been going on a long time since I was in school, in lower school. Bullying gets oversaw a whole lot. They take it as not serious like you just talking about,
That's
when
right.
it is very serious.
It is.
And it does hamper children from wanting to go to school.
And Bo,
You know-
you got a lot of friends, and Bill, you're
Well,
very attractive.
we think we got a lot of friends. You really don't know who your friends really are, John.
Yeah.
Never forget that.
But to my point, this is not in any way, shape, or form to kick the school in the teeth. How can we help?
Well, I mean,
How can we help?
when I
That's what I'm asking.
a big thing, a lot of people automatically assume that we at the school board office, know of things. And yes, we see discipline reports and we see all of that, but, you may have an extra little detail that maybe we did not know.
Right.
So I think it's always important to make sure they know, reach out to the school board office, let us know your concerns.
You want your parents making sure they're communicating what the kids say when they get home.
Absolutely.
Correct, because, what a student tells a teacher, what a student tells an administrator, there could be one little detail that could be slightly different that can make a difference. So I always say, don't think, oh, they know and they're not doing anything. Call anyway. Let us know.
That's what I encourage to every parent that I have talked to do. Reach out to the school board office, reach out to, because there's 5 different representatives, to reach out to them. If you don't get the answer you want for one, that don't mean just because they're your representative, it don't mean you stop.
And John, recently, Sergeant Sawyer came to us in request of $3,500 funding, and part of that program was to address bullying and help with that a whole lot. And I think it was a match program, right, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah,
Did we give it to
They're gonna have
them?
a camp.
Yeah, they're having a
Okay,
camp.
all right.
They're having a camp this
Yeah,
summer.
that was in the last work session we
I don't
was
know if
in.
you saw it or not.
School division's given
So it's gonna take all of us working together. Heather, thank you for addressing the money issue.
Oh, that's right.
Because a lot of the public, they see the increase on the school side and they didn't know it's really pass-through money, it's grant money. And also, we've been getting hit with cut. If we cut you, and I gave an example, if we cut one of those match and we cut you $100,000, that's not all you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose exponentially $300,000 or $400,000 from the state that will cut a vital program.
Well,
So that's why we can't go that route.
And I have an open door policy, so anybody in the public can always come to the school board office and ask questions about budget. I'm more than happy to help anyone better understand it. It's complicated, it's convoluted, it can be difficult, but
And I applaud you for that. You've always had that policy since you got there.
I'm
I
more
appreciate
than
that.
happy to sit down with anybody to help them better understand if they have questions. So.
All right, Ms. Meyer, we appreciate you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Anything social services?
No,
Mr.
sir.
Bowen? Okay. Greg Zodi, Planning and Economic Development, did you have anything coming up?
Yes.
Okay.
Just 2 notes. First of all, I'm going to hand you all out the CRC broadband.
Come on, man, save the trees.
Huh?
Save the trees.
But let me hand this out first. I was going to say I miss you more than you know, Mr. I was.
Thank you, man.
You can take that one first, madam. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Irving, I forgot about you. Okay, I was going to save this until next month, but I just signed off on the zoning portion for the construction of equipment shelter number 4 on Cox Road, the military
You have to
road.
say the word, what's the name of the company?
River Street.
Okay.
So they did submit that, and they're starting work with cabinet number 5, and then cabinet 6. I believe cabinet 5 is the one near Candyland at Jennings Cherry Tree Crossing, and then further down on Lewiston Plank Road. That one, I believe, is cabinet 6. So we're getting there, slowly but surely. That's really all I had, unless y'all had anything for me.
I don't think so.
Progress.
It's government. There's somebody who said government's incrementalism. So We do what we can.
Thank you. Mr. Hyde, anything, emergency services?
Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Bowen, good evening, good evening. Mr. Rourke, glad to have you back, you look great.
Glad to be here, and
Yeah,
thank you, man.
really
My
glad
wife
to-
knew that. That's why she married me.
Glad to see you, glad to see you sitting in that seat right there and listening on the mic. Real quick, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we had a kickoff meeting on April the 16th for the emergency medical dispatch software that you all graciously voted on a couple months ago to do the grant, the 50/50 grant. So in participation was myself, Ms. Graham, and Mr. Havens with the dispatch center. So that should be, I think we're on track for that to happen around July. So this is kickoff training. On April 24th, we started our training planning sessions for the helicopter down exercise, and that's coming up Monday. You've seen some emails from me on that this week. That's kept us pretty busy this week in addition to other things. I'm going back out there tomorrow to do a radio test. What they're going to do is we're going to set up our Nottoway Dispatch Center in a simulated fashion out at Fast C in one of their office buildings. But we're concerned about how secure the walls are. We don't know if the signal will get out. But we're going to put 2 dispatchers out there with portable radios and a computer. And I'm working with the dispatch staff over here to make that happen. Working also with Fast C training. And they gave me a wonderful tour. I had never toured the whole facility, and they took me around through all the training. I got a chance to watch some embassy training with weapons and things like that while I was out there. It's just phenomenal what they have and the props they have out there at the federal level. Just a couple other things, continuing to do levy research, winding down on that for you. EMS cost research, salaries, we're doing a salary region survey. I'm tapping 10 counties. A lot of it is on Facebook. And last night, Mecklenburg County really started a huge Facebook chatter out there with their recent salaries. But we're getting all those numbers together for you just in comparison to see where everybody's at. Fireworks planning, Chris Page had us all come over yesterday to the airfield in Blackstone. And we went to airfield ops building planning for the July 2nd. Please mark your calendars. July 1 in Crew, July 2 in Blackstone at the Army Airfield. Very similar to what we had last year, and we're planning for that now. And then last but not least, work with Dr. Martin, who is now Superintendent Martin. I heard the good news last night, but over the last month, she and I have emailed and texted about a tabletop. We're having a tabletop at Nottoway High School, similar to what we just did in the real active shooter exercise, but this will be just tabletop only on July 7th. You're welcome to come. It is in the mini auditorium, and that's all I have, Mr. Chair, unless you have questions.
All right, appreciate it, Mr. Hyde, and I thank you for all your work over the last 6 weeks. Thank you a lot.
Thank you all for your support.
Mr. Kyle?
Yeah.
Do you mind? Sure. I got something for
You have a
Buddy.
question? Yeah, go ahead.
All right, Buddy, now I'm gonna throw somebody that's gonna blindside some, but not all. Okay, we've got some things we're working through with fire and EMS. Of course, looking at the tax levy and everything. All right, I talked to a couple board members, and I spoken to some department heads as well. I'd like to see if this board will consider waiving all personal property tax for the volunteers. And
On one vehicle?
all personal property tax.
I don't know if you can do that per code. John, I think you had asked this a while back. Somebody has. I think you can have a reduced tax, but everybody has to be taxed.
All right, how
But
far-
anyway, but we can look at the lowest that you could do.
Yeah, and so here, just I'll share briefly with y'all my reason of thinking here. Okay, it's gonna cost the county to hire staff. I mean, outrageous number. If we get our volunteers up by offering them incentives, then that can offset some serious salary and VRS things that this county is looking at.
Right.
I think it's incumbent upon us as county leaders that if we're going to throw money at it, we need to also see if we can throw a solution at it. So if we waive it, or if we get it reduced down to all their personal property, there's an incentive. I can't find any other county around here that's doing it. What's the one thing you've always said, buddy? Everybody's struggling with the problem. Let's do something different than what everybody else is doing. And the whole thing would be, you can't sign up, be a volunteer, and get it immediately.
I was gonna say that.
2 years. You gotta do it 2 years, but we will get a report back from these volunteers that sign up, from the department heads and through yourself. Number one, they're attending meetings, they're getting certifications, EVOC, hazmat, firefighter one, EMTA, because that's what we're looking for, advanced EMTs.
Sure.
You know, and so if we do that, it could save the county and the taxpayers a ton of money without any quality of service left. Because remember, until a few years ago, it was volunteers that did it. That man sitting right there, that man sitting right there, that man sitting right there, they run, I don't know how many hundreds of calls over their many centuries of service. But they did it as volunteers. They don't do it for the money, because that's how they're built. Somebody told me that one time, but it's true. That's how those volunteers are built. They're not doing it for the money. But by God, I feel like we can step up and make an offer to get this thing, try to write it. Now look, if it don't work, it don't work. If it's not feasible, it's not feasible. One thing we would have to do is go to Ms. Hudson, and let's just say there's 15,000 people paying taxes, and the average is $1,000. Well, you got a number you can start with to work. We look at losing, let's just say if there's 100 volunteers, the county looks at losing $100,000. No, you don't. Let me tell you why. You saw the letter from Mecklenburg. It's $60,000 for an EMTA. We get a person and a half for $100,000. How many do we need? There you go. All right, let's just make it make sense, make it palatable to the public, and make this offer. The bigger thing is, some people may have some concerns about our long-standing volunteers. Ain't no concern there. You know why? If you hit your membership, your lifetime membership, guess what? You ain't ever gonna pay full price for your personal property tax in Nottoway County again. And once you hit, if you've already got 10 years in, we should make that effective immediately for them. They shouldn't have to wait the 2 years.
We gotta remember now that since '02, the EMS has been 95% paid. You more probably.
That's when they first started hiring.
Right, you're probably more specifically talking about the fire department.
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Any volunteer that steps up, you know what I like to call this? The Step Up, Sign Up program.
For 2 years.
Yep, but they got to.
Let's put this in the next work session.
Sure, okay.
Okay.
All right.
And just a couple, can I address just a couple of those things? It'd be good news for him.
Okay.
He's playing catch-up. I know you're playing catch-up, like you said. We've had some good discussions in these last meetings, and Chief Tomer had some really good information last meeting. I think that's what Mr. Bowen's referring to. But let me go back to the personal property. So usually, you know, when you always ask me things over the last several years, usually we're already on it.
Right,
After
that's
I tell
right.
you. So we are already on it, but I think it was put on the back burner. So in '22, Ms. Hudson and I sat down, and we looked at taking the $1, which you'll look at tonight in the handout we're giving out tonight, the $1 on the value of $100 on your personal property. The volunteers pay $1 now instead of paying the normal. So what we talked about in '22 was eliminating that $1. So we had Ms. Hudson look at it and said, is it legal in Virginia? And yes, it is, to zero it out. And then we found a couple counties that had zeroed it out. But then a lot of other counties are doing exactly like Nottoway. They were doing it at a reduced rate, whether it be $1, $1.50, et cetera, instead of $3.80 or whatever they may be assessing the citizens. So with that said, we have addressed that before. We just didn't think the timing was right that particular
Oh, it's perfect right now, brother.
And so it's really up to you to revisit it, but I will say you can do it. The other thing that I want to mention while we're talking about an exemption as a recruitment incentive, I thought Mr. Tomer, past Chief Tomer, Dion, we know him Dion brought up something that would be even larger than the incentive on personal property for one car, which has been in place for probably 10 or 15 years. Right. And that is if we pass the new levy, if that ends up being a reality, that would be a huge incentive for a volunteer. But again, you would need to, I know from a budget perspective, look at how much revenue that impacts, you know, in terms. But it would be a huge revenue. If you think about it, they wouldn't have to do the real estate piece. And that in itself can be a reason to get in. And certainly, you know, it is hard getting volunteers. But he did mention that at the last board meeting, and I think that was a good thing to think about.
If you could have Christie kind of get those numbers for our next work
See what the impact is?
Yeah, for our next work session.
And I know
we got to have the
need
math.
that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think that's something worth looking at.
Okay.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, buddy.
Also, to piggyback on that a little bit, I know the question that come up, and that's in your, that was added on I can't find mine now. But anyway, it shows you about the sticker money, what the code requires. You see that? But anyway, you can put that sticker money anywhere you want to.
Oof.
Anyway, it's in an addition. That's
Number,
Yeah, right.
so the next one's me, Piedmont Regional Jail Authority. We didn't meet yet. We're gonna meet next week. So we'll follow up later. Mr. Bowen, Pickett Park.
It's the package, that's the numbers in your packet of what we're making, where we're making, where we're not making.
Those were in the handouts?
That's in the handout, yes, sir.
Don't do that.
Also, you know, just so that all board members know this, and I don't know if you do or not, Chairman Bill Collins and I think it's Greg Zodi, Town Manager Philip Van Norbeck, Alex McCoy, our new Executive Director of Verita, met with Deputy Commissioner Kathy Byron and the Secretary of Labor, Brian Slater. So we have the Commonwealth is very interested in some of our property on the outside of the gates, not on the inside. And that's as far as that we know right now. So just be aware of that. Okay?
Okay. We got Constitutional Officer reports, Ms. Brown, Jane Brown, Circuit Court. Sheriff, anything tonight? No, sir. Okay. Ms. Rayford's not here. Christy Hudson, Leanne Watrous.
I do have something to add for Leanne Watrous'
Sure.
spot. I took the liberty of meeting with Ms. Watrous this week. There's been a lot going on, and I've been getting a lot of complaints, so I figured I'd go to the horse's mouth, so to speak. She was not able to be here tonight because she had a meeting, but she wanted to let me know that she is implementing some new protocols, some things in her office to help. I asked her point blank why she was losing so many cases, because I've been getting a lot of calls about that. And there's a lot that the general public doesn't know. I do know she detailed there is a new mandate by the state that she has to give the defense attorney a list of all the witnesses now, 30 days before a case. So that means that that person that did the crime is going to know 30 days ahead of time who their witnesses are going to be against them. And they get into court, and all of a sudden, the witnesses have amnesia.
Sounds like another excuse.
But that's that. But she is doing new protocols. She plans to hold town hall meetings, and in each town. So I'm going to hold her to that. But I did, out of concern, talk to her, and she will be coming back to the next meeting, and you can field questions, but she is working, her office is working on some new measures.
Mr. Chairman, under
Yes.
unfinished business, I-2, y'all talking about the budget. I was going to speak to that exact thing that Ms. Norton just brought up. Would now be the appropriate time or something at that budget?
We'll go ahead and just go through unfinished business. We'll
Okay.
get there real quick.
Okay.
Animal shelter's just progressing, Mr. Ingram? Aye.
We had a nice meeting when one of the walls came down.
Yeah, we had it.
And I've tried to go by there once or twice a week to see how things are going. It's amazing how much they've done already.
So they're working every day.
Yep, and they're working on it, and Mike Gentry's been a big help, and
Yeah.
Was it Mike Bortkowski?
Yeah, Michael.
He goes by and checks also, and he's been sending pictures of the progress to the members of the CARES Committee.
Oh, great.
So
Communication. Yeah.
They're seeing what's going on.
And they've started to spend some of their funds or make plans?
We got a progress meeting May 28th to talk about that. Planning, I'm hoping that, I've asked them, might meet at the Burkeville Town Hall room, when we have that progress meeting. May 1st, the IDA did loan us the money to renovate that building for the animal shelter, and was very gracious with us. So they just wanted to get their money back.
We'll work on that.
Right. Anyway,
Anything on dispatching from anybody?
I don't have anything as far as dispatching.
We had a broadband report, we had a radio project update with tower discussions. Any of the supervisors have anything from any of their committees?
Do you want me to address finance now or wait till we go over the budget?
Next is fiscal year 2026 budget, so do you want to have a quick finance discussion, and then we'll go into the budget?
It's up to Mr. Bowen. Do you want to?
Well, the budget is just there this is what we advertised. Really, the next, really the biggest report, we got to hear from the public May 22nd, which is next Thursday at 7 o'clock. So that was advertised, and
So the budget's been advertised, it's notified that
Right.
it's in there. So do you want to do a little discussion about your finance committee?
Are we gonna do that now, May 22nd?
We've gone over that in our work session.
Right.
And the PowerPoint overview, that was on live online.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
I think, I've had a lot of questions, people have called, but nothing's changed. I mean, we've just got to decide if this is, the tax levy is what we want to do, and if this is the rate that we want to do, the numbers are the numbers. I do want to point out again that the budget increase, the 6 million, is what the school was. We really aren't, Mr. Bowen, do you remember how much incremental? It wasn't much, and if you take the school out, it wasn't but $200,000 or $300,000 more increase over last year. So we're holding pretty much the same. But until we make some determinations, the numbers may change a little bit.
And different questions had come in, and of course, when people ask questions, they're welcome to come up there, and we try to clarify. I think it was one of them, and I got Logan Presley here tonight. By the way, she's my financial manager right now, helping with all this and making sure it's right in our Bright system. I think it was like a question about. See if I can find that thing real quick. It was something to do with the revenue of emergency services vehicle. So if you look at your revenue section, it's go down to about 4 or 5 line items. Emergency service vehicle, $12,000, and there's $10,500 is in there. And Logan, can you explain that a little bit? Because I know you had conversation today with Christy.
Yes. So the emergency services vehicles line is because we are taxing the vehicles for active members or lifetime members at $1 per rate for one vehicle. So they're not getting taxed the full amount on theirs, but it's vehicles that they are using to go to the squad house or the firehouse.
So that's some of your money right there. Anyway.
That was about
Which is the
10,000.
normal rate is what?
Normal rate is right now at $375, but it's proposed to go to $412.
And they still remain at $1.
Yes, for those that are active members or lifetime members that they use to go to that, and it's only one vehicle per person.
Well, about your levy there, though, are we gonna punish our,
Volunteer.
no, are we gonna punish our landowners twice for the same thing? I say put it all on personal property. You know what? That'll make it a bigger savings for these guys and give them an even harder retention and recruitment tool. You leave it all on personal property, let the volunteer base grow.
I said originally that because a lot of landowners out of the county, and somebody told me that somebody might be on their property horseback riding or something and need EMS. But maybe they trespassing.
Right.
Or maybe they got insurance to take care of it, their liability of being on somebody else's property.
Right.
But we unfortunately, I wish he was here. We done been through all them bushes,
Good.
unfortunately.
And John, too, when we're talking about recruitment and retention of volunteers, not paid, but volunteers, the problem is, and we've addressed it, is that the volunteers all work during the day. So,
Yeah, this does not take out the whole need for possibly hiring. You, Monday through Friday, you probably need them for 8, 10, or 12-hour shift, but it's how
you're
many
talking
do
about
you-
night and weekends, when the
Right, night and
volunteers are.
weekends. We can get these volunteers up. I have faith in them. These are good people in Nottoway County.
Oh, it's worked for 200 years or more.
There you go.
Well, longer than that, since Ben Franklin started it. That's right, that's who started it.
But the public hearing is, I mean, that's the whole purpose of the public. Let's listen to the public, and then I think one of the best laws that, and I had a discussion with one of our citizens today. One of the best laws that the state has made is you do a public hearing and then you got 7 days before you actually adopt the budget. You listen to the public, you absorb it, you don't make any reactive decisions, and then you decide what you want to do before you adopt it, which will be the next week, which will be May 29th, I think, or what it is.
All right, well, Mr. Chairman, what I was looking to talk about, what Ms. Norton had touched on there, is I'd like to withdraw the fully funded position from the Commonwealth Attorney's Office that this county put in place a few years ago.
I
Simply,
think she got added a comp position.
She got another position.
She
that's
has,
added.
and that's something I failed to mention. The governor allowed a new position through the comp board for a violent crime attorney. And it's a sad day that Nottoway County has to have a violent crime attorney, but the grant position is going to fund that.
we might not need it if we had a Commonwealth Attorney that would do her job.
Is it grant? I thought it was a comp board position.
Well,
a comp.
some of it's comp board, but
Right.
the way she explained something is grant too.
Okay.
She does have a grant position that supposedly, I don't know what the code is, but it's supposed to be, I think, camera or something like that grant. That is one of the funded positions that she's supposed to have per code. I'll have to ask her more in detail what
So,
that
but that's
is, but I
county,
do know.
so that's not county money, that's state grant funds?
I'll
coming
have
through?
to double check with her to make sure, because I've got to see which one it
But-
is and where it's
But
coming
the
in.
new position was comp
The
board,
new position is
and
comp.
that does cost the county.
It
Yes, it
costs them a
does.
percentage.
All right, but a couple of years ago, she come and stood before the previous board and sat there and said she needed an administrative assistant and told us they were going to start prosecuting more misdemeanors and all this and that. And then she's got time to make up, and y'all all seen them, those ridiculous pie charts. Takes 30 minutes. She was asked, how long does it take for your office to make these ridiculous pie charts? Think about the ink, the paper, and the labor over there, all these months making these ridiculous pie charts to come over here and say why she ain't doing her job. I don't care. You put your name on the ballot, you ran. Okay? Do your job. What I'm sick of, remember I stated this earlier, there was 2 reasons people were beating down my door. My wife can tell you this one too. Had a family show up in tears at my door. Show up in tears. I thought they were happy to see me. Oh no. They're scared to death. I'm sick and tired of the people on Bible Road, Little Creek, Fall Street, calling me because they're scared. Because when one gets caught and charged, they're held up. Mr. Collins, what is the per diem per day?
It's $82.
$82. Can somebody do some quick math for me? 365 times 2.
More than them children at that school.
Right. 365 times 2 will give you
730.
730. 730 times 82.
59,860.
Now, ladies and gentlemen and the public, you just heard a number, over $59,000 because your Commonwealth attorney could not get to trial in a timely manner, and the gentleman was let go. $60,000. $60,000. Now, why am I talking about this? She don't need the funding. She's had more people over there than any Commonwealth attorney has ever had in the history of this county, and she's got more excuses than any attorney that's ever served in this county. I'm sick of it. The people are sick of it. I didn't come here to make friends. I don't care if she's got a little clique that comes after me. I tell you like I told the other ones, bring it on. I'm all right. God saved me for a reason, and it's for these people in Nottoway County. So at the end of the day, I like to withdraw that fully funded position over there, because with all the help, and let's think about this. I got people talking about they're scared of the meth heads. How come they ain't being charged? And now she wants to go do a town hall. Why won't she answer the Curry Records questions? Why won't she go before them and explain what happens after these null processes, these plea agreements, and these reduced charges and all that? All right, so let's figure this. I'm not saying to guilt the innocence of anyone that's been charged or not charged. What I'm talking about is gunfire. Gunfire in the town of Blackstone during business hours. Gunfire, mind you. Now, there was people charged. It was investigated, people were charged. But what you didn't give was a conviction. Now, I'm not speaking to those gentlemen that was charged. I'm not speaking to the guilt or innocence. You know why? I want there, I want in the room, and I want asked to come and stand before them to judge them in any way, shape, or form, listen to anything. I'm not speaking to who was charged or who was not charged. I'm speaking to the fact that in 4 police departments in this county, 4 of them, I've got police officers wanting her gone. I will speak up for you officers tonight. They want the Commonwealth Attorney gone. And I'm going to go on an assumption here. I challenge each one of you right now to tell me you can only count on one hand the number of citizens that have come to you and complained about the Commonwealth Attorney. If you can only do it on one hand, let's raise your hand.
I can do more, maybe 3 or 4 hands. But I will say this, John, you've had a lot of shut-in time. Praise the Lord, you're doing well. You're letting a whole lot out. I agree with much what you said, but that's why we got elections. Elections coming up for the Commonwealth Attorney as well. And I get along great with the Commonwealth Attorney. I got much respect for the Commonwealth Attorney. Mel Gravitt done a whole lot of prosecuting, just Mel Gravitt. He done a whole lot. But I do have a lot of respect for that position, not just for the individual. And that is why we have elections.
Yeah, and I'm just simply saying this. We no longer need to give these taxpayers money who are in fear that the Commonwealth Attorney. All you got to do is look on an arrest on Facebook on the Courier Record. Look at the arrest. Look immediately how it turns into, well, they were taken into custody and was probably charges dropped before they got to Piedmont. All kind of stuff like that all the time. And why? These people are scared and fed up and they want somebody to speak up on them. I'm going to do it. And just like you said, you can count on this. I'm going to tell you what, I can't count on my hands and toes together. I'd have to take all of ours and then some to start counting the complaints. I know some other of you have had a lot of complaints as well. But at the end of the day, I would say this, when you mention the election, it's the last thing I'm going to say about it, I will walk away from this seat right here and campaign for whoever puts their name on the ballot to run against her. Nottoway County will elect anybody that runs against her, and I will campaign for that individual. Amen.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rourke.
Mr. Chairman, just make sure I'm clarified, I'd like to circle back. What I heard from Mr. Rourke, and John, I'm just going to try to narrow it down to bullet point. You would not vote for that budget if that full county position is still in that budget.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
All right, we got J1 is going to be new business. Yeah,
Thank you.
Sorry,
Thank you.
go ahead and have a seat.
Sorry to hold you up.
We do need to amend that a little bit. One of the things that we're looking at with Nottoway County Emergency Squad is putting membership, changing the membership of the board. And we do have Mr. Toth, I believe, are you still interested in being a supervisor?
On the board, I am.
Okay. I think I've talked to everybody about that Bo would be our supervisor on the Nottoway Emergency Squad board if that is the route we take.
I did mention that to the captain, E.B. Fisher. He's here, and they seem that the plan that y'all have come up with maybe Bo Toth as a member, because I knew we need to vote on this tonight, and a citizen, and I'll let Bo just say the citizen's name, but from what I've understood from Mr. E.B., the captain and the assistant back there, David, that's all good with them.
And if I may, Mr. Collins, after you and I talked about this, I would, and just thinking about this a little bit about citizen and everything, I kind of feel like we're putting a citizen in a voting body, kind of a weird situation. So would y'all be interested in having myself run with you, Bo, on this, instead of dragging citizens into this?
I wouldn't have any problem with you doing it per se, but what I was in hopes to gain was a citizen's perspective in relations to EMS and finance. And this citizen that I was specifically speaking of is I'm not going to call him an expert because I hadn't seen his own portfolio, so to speak. Right. But from all indications of me sitting on another board with him, I think he would make a grand choice. But I would love, I'm not going to say, John, I don't want you on that board. I think we can accomplish great things. But I also think maybe that the board itself may ought to have some input as to a citizen.
The reason that we talked about that was because this topic the citizens have been reaching out extraordinary, amount. in
Right.
regard to-
Extraordinarily amount. And I'm sure they have to you
in regards to
too.
squad and the tax. And so that's why we wanted to have the opportunity for a citizen to be on there. That was the discussion.
But I do see your point of the citizen being able, of a citizen body being able to vote on a board.
Yeah, because see, they don't have, because I see they can vote to approve something over there as a recommendation coming back here.
It is a recommendation, that's all.
That's right, but then it falls upon us to whether or not we're going to truly fund it or not fund it.
Exactly. No different than some of the other committees that already have voting on it that comes up.
Well, what about this? Since they're in agreement to it, would they be willing to give up one of their 3 seats for this citizen that you're recommending?
Well, I think they had discussed that, didn't they, Mr. Chairman, on a 3-3?
Yeah,
They've eliminated several of theirs to have a 3
yeah,
equal, correct?
they have.
They eliminated 4.
Yeah.
Eliminated 4
Yeah,
to cut it back so it'd be a
9, I believe,
3-3.
at first, and then they've cut back a lot. They have, and there will not be anybody on there that's a married couple or brother and sister, anything like that. So they.
And another thing too, by me being on the board, I'm 1/5 of each one of y'all. So each one of you know me and know me well.
Right.
It's gonna be a lot of transparency there and a lot of talk and a lot of mind picking and coming up with different things before it comes to this board.
Right. I was just thinking, after he told me that you were on it, I was just thinking, man, we could.
John, you got to serve on the jail board, I didn't. I'm going on this EMS board. I'm joking with you.
No, it's,
I'm joking with you
All right,
totally.
well, do you want to name?
because we could still do him as, her as a citizen appointed. I mean, we already kind of set a precedent with Mr. Irby with that. He's traveled, looked at courthouses and stuff like that, and gave input where we normally don't do it at work sessions and stuff like that. We could do the same thing. Hell, there's actually a state code out there that allows for a citizen overview or something like that. There's a state code.
I'm not sure about that, but I know we've appointed several citizens to different committees.
I want to weigh in on this as far as a citizen, because I've had a couple of people come to me about it. We set a precedence with Mr. Irby, but we have to be very careful of just plucking a citizen and appointing them, because there's no full description of what this committee is about, what we want them to do. There's no real dynamics here. And I want to make sure, because I represent a minority district, that we do a full search across ethnic and socioeconomic lines, that we pick someone that is fully attuned to all the citizens. And I see the need for getting the citizen vantage point.
Mm-hmm.
But
There's not one that serves on this board that's any more minority than I am. 72% of the people in my district are African American. It's not one other board I'm on here, and that was court ordered.
But I'm just conveying my concern.
And I appreciate that.
I do believe a citizen input would be valuable, especially if they have EMS, fire, whatever background.
So what you're suggesting that we just advertise this?
She wants a call for volunteers, I would assume.
Step
And I
up,
know
sign up, baby.
our timing is limited though,
But
but
that's
I
a good-
just don't want to put ourselves,
Pretty quick, right?
I just
Well,
don't want to
you-
put ourselves in a
when-
position that
We're gonna talk, when we get to K2, we're gonna talk about money now.
All right, well, what
So
about if we consider then, if there's gonna be any halt in this, what about me and you, and who's the third one?
The third,
Those are supposed to be buddy.
emergency
Buddy.
operations
So Buddy,
coordinator.
me and you until we.
see, in contrast, that's no different than putting Buddy on there. He's not an elected person.
Right.
But we're putting him on there, and really that they could look at it as being a slap in the face to their board, because who is he paid by?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you could say that there's more conflict there than it is to put a regular citizen on
But
there.
he's supposed to be the mediator between all the agencies.
I
That's
agree,
why
but
we hired him.
he's still paid for by the county.
So what are you suggesting, Bo? Do you want?
I'm not suggesting. I'm open to listen to suggestions. I had thought up until this point that we agreed to put a citizen on if they agreed to have that citizen, and if they didn't, then we'd give them another citizen. I got 2 in mind. If they don't want to accept the first one, I got another one in mind.
All right.
And it's just a suggestion for the rest of y'all four to either agree with or not to agree with.
All right, so as to not hold anything up, if it's not agreed upon a citizen, what do,
A citizen period or this specific citizen?
or a citizen period right
Okay.
now, instead of holding anything up,
Then now,
if it be the board's will, you and I could handle this and meet with the squad so we can start getting that stuff done.
We could.
And then when the final decision is made,
If the board wants
Bow out,
to, if
you
the,
know,
if,
whatever-
if the board wishes to do that, that's perfectly fine by me. If the board wishes to go in and seek the position to the citizen, it's fine by me.
Okay, yeah.
And
Yes.
do consider in the citizen, think about Buddy. I got a great respect for Buddy. He's the most knowledgeable person on all safety. He's a great safety coordinator.
Right.
But do remember, he's gonna be just as much voting power on their board as I am or this citizen, and he's paid for by the county of Nottoway.
Right,
So if we're gonna bring a few points, we might as well bring them all.
yeah. That's right.
Let me ask a question.
Yes, sir.
This board is gonna be an advisory board. It's not gonna have.
Correct.
That's what I'm saying, you know, this is just for advice and working out the problems. And it's not,
No
whatever that
fact.
board decides it comes to us, then we make up our mind what we wanna do. That's, you know, to me, this is an advisory board, just like any other kind of advisory board you have. They come in, they hash out the problems, they come back to this board and say, this is what we figured out, what do y'all think?
That's the reason I think Buddy would be a great choice on the board
Absolutely.
and a citizen. But I'm not trying to take away from you, John,
No, it's fine.
because I know what you and I can do together.
Yeah.
We can blow the balloon up and make it go way on up into the moon.
Yeah, I'll do whatever this board needs and what this county needs to help the squad and the fire department. So I'm all in, y'all tell me where to be, or where not to be.
All right. So we know that Mr. Toth has, he said 2 names. Ms. Norton would like to see further outreach. I know that we need to move forward to continue fixing this problem. Mr. Ingram, your thoughts?
We gotta do something quickly.
Now.
We can't sit back and say, we're gonna wait till October.
Yeah, no.
Something's gotta be done now.
Know that, but how do you pick somebody if you don't know what the criteria is gonna be?
Well, what I'm saying to you, Daphne, is this is an advisory board. The criteria is, let's say that board comes to us, this advisory board comes to us and say, we're in favor of the county hiring 20 EMTs. Then we gotta decide whether we wanna do that or not. Do we need to have 20 EMTs? Do we have the vehicles? Do we have the facilities? That's the whole thing. So,
We'll compromise. Mr. Toth and Mr. Rourke,
Okay.
we have to have this task started. If you can meet with Mr. Williams in the next 10 days to start having conversations
I
about.
want to meet with him tonight if Mr. Roker's on for it.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then if we, meanwhile, Mr. Chairman, go ahead and then I'll say,
And then between now and our next work session, any citizen that's interested in serving this county as a volunteer, reach out to your district supervisor, give them your name and a resume, and we'll take a look. Fair enough?
fair enough.
Ms. Norton?
That's fine.
Okay.
And like I
So
said,
you
if anything.
and Bo
cha-
get together and figure it out.
And if anything changes, I have no problem bowing out and going to the wishes of the board.
And it may be for the public, for the public.
Do
that
we,
they want you to stay on.
Ms. Douglas, do you think we need a vote on this? It's an advisory committee. Do we normally vote on committees?
I don't know what the standard of your
Right.
policy is.
Well, I'll ask for a motion to put Mr. Toth on the NCES
Mr. Toth and Mr. Rourke,
and Mr. Rourke on the NCES Advisory Board,
but include Buddy too.
and Buddy Hyde.
Okay, if you would do that, Mr. Chairman, I know we would be,
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to appoint Mr. Toad, myself, and Buddy Hyde to the Nottoway County Emergency Squad Advisory Board.
Can't appoint
And
yourself.
Hold on, just for 1 second, just for a point of clarification. This board, something just entered my mind. It is an advisory board.
Yes.
4 things that could potentially come from the county, right? We in agreement with that. But it is not an advisory board, and I think y'all can help me out this.
For the operation.
For the operations, we still gonna be on that board? Is that the same board?
no, okay.
We're rewriting our
Bylaws?
Constitution, which reforms our executive board.
Okay.
We were saying 3 and 3, but of course that can take on a different picture if we need to. And then we would have, like, for hiring, firing, or personnel matters, we would have a personnel committee that then would form under that advisory board that would handle those day-to-day operational issues. Other day-to-day operational issues would be handled like we normally do through the chain of command with our, myself, Mr. Fisher, our shift lieutenants, those operational issues.
this executive board is mainly for good transparency to our citizens in the county and the dollars that this county is getting ready to spend for emergency services, so that you guys know when y'all give us this money.
So but that 6-panel board member, if y'all want to get a new ambulance, if it comes to the board, what board is it going to?
It would have to come through that board right there, yes.
What, the county board?
Yes, yeah.
That's if the county gives funds to it, but if you've got your own funds, it wouldn't need to come to the county, correct?
I don't see that happening anytime soon, but yes, sir.
Okay.
So it's a monetary advisory board to the Board of Supervisors, basically.
Well, that's what the citizens asked us,
Yep.
John.
Yep.
And that's understandable.
That the control comes with the money.
Yeah.
We're having to change based upon the revenue sources to produce the services needed for our county, i.e. 3 24-hour-a-day trucks throughout the county, 2 from Nottoway County Emergency Squad, 1 from Burkeville Volunteer Fire Department, and the needed revenue to make that happen based upon salaries. Yes.
One question I have in reference to the board, I've been working on the Constitution since our last meeting, which was Thursday, a week ago. The biggest thing I want to know, I've been hearing, for the first time we ever Mr. Hyde, myself, David, and of course y'all nominated and fully with Mr. Toth on, which is fine. But they made mention of a citizen on the board, and then you changed that, so I just want to know which way that we need to go to put in the paperwork.
All right, y'all can, correct me if I'm wrong, y'all can modify your constitution anytime, right? All right, well, what I would say right now would be the emergency services coordinator and 2 supervisors. If something changes, it's a quick change, and then y'all can readopt.
And we're fine with that if then we want to change and make it a citizen, but I agree, it's a can we don't need to kick down the road.
Right.
Get it going with the 2 supervisors, Mr. Hyde, our 3 representatives, and then should it need to change to look into who that citizen would be,
Right.
to see who the interested parties are, then we would modify that board at that point to still be in 3 and 3.
That's right,
Representatives of per se the
that's right, and then you could change your constitution to fit that, that's correct, that's it.
Yes, we could modify
Okay.
that at a later date. And if that
All right, so there's a
Look like our
motion.
attorney, Mr. Chairman, might
There's a-
want to say something.
I was just gonna say, you might be able to modify it just to have an option, but I'm not your lawyer, but just have an option.
Supervisor or citizen?
Yes, you
Yeah,
could
and
put that in
we
there.
can go ahead and put the verbiage in right up front, supervisor.
That way you don't have to, that way you don't have to pay the attorney
Easier
again.
to change on the fly, I guess is the best way to put it.
So 2 supervisors or 1 citizen with a supervisor.
And or.
And or.
2 supervisors and
That would
or
cover it up
citizen.
front.
Okay,
Sometime in the future, you might want to go to 4 and 4, I don't know.
right.
Mr. Collins, last question I have, sir, is, are they paying for her legal advice for that time, or we?
That's called free
All right,
legal
we've got a
advice.
motion, we've got a motion on
We
the
are.
floor for Mr. Toth, Mr. Rourke, and Mr. Hyde to go on this advisory board. I need a second.
I can't.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I
Any
want to
opposed?
clarify that this is called a advisory board, because a
Yes.
lot of people were under the misconception that this was going to be the new executive board for the squad. So it's an
It is.
advisory board.
No.
Changing verbiage or whatever we need to do for that. whether it's
But you will be changing your bylaws and
Right,
constitution.
they will.
But in that, and I will say this, they can have whoever they want on that board. If they wants to be executive board and they want to, they wish to leave it the way it is, they can do it. They're 501c. We ain't got to,
That's right.
they don't work for the county.
That's right.
The county's not affiliated with them at all.
On our side of the fence, Mr. Todd, it's going to be an executive board handling advisory situations.
That's good mindset there, Mr. Fisher.
All
Okay.
right. We're finished with that. We're gonna move on. K, consent items.
No, we gotta do J2, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. I should have had it in there. June's meeting, I just need y'all to, vote to maybe move it to Juneteenth as a holiday. It falls on the 3rd Thursday in June.
So you
I
would be the
don't know if y'all
26th.
okay with the 26th, maybe, at 7 o'clock here at the General District Courthouse, but I would ask you for a vote for that, so that's a change in our meetings.
Somebody like to make a motion?
Till June what?
27th?
June 26th.
26th, the Thursday after
26th.
June 10th.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to move the regular Nottoway County Board of Supervisors meeting from June 19th to June 26th at 7 p.m. here in the General District Courtroom. It is a conflict with a holiday.
I'll second that
All
motion.
in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, we had the consent calendars. You'll see the April expenditures. I'm gonna see if I can bundle all this, and maybe we should just accept it. First, get you to accept the K1 because K2 is a little more discussion. Y'all wanna?
Okay, everybody take a look at K1. We're going to be looking for a motion to approve consent items K1.
Think we might want to divide it.
I so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, Mr. Chairman, of course, I do have Logan here, and she's got an email to you, or a memo on K2.
So this is a handout. This is in your pile.
Yes. We got a problem, and we're trying to come with a solution. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll yield to Ms. Presley.
Good afternoon. All right, so what we have in front of us is we have had discussions with Nottoway County Emergency Squad about needing additional funding for next year's budget for payroll and operation expenses. We knew this was coming. We're trying to prepare for it as best as we can in the next budget. However, they have recently come and said they need funding now. They're asking for 1/12 of what we would be giving them in the next budget, which is about $62,500 in June. So that would be in this fiscal year that we did not budget for. It hasn't been appropriated at all. Also, along with this request, we also had another expenditure pop up that we were not expecting. We had a $58,601 bill come from Motorola Solutions. And where it stemmed from is in 2022, the Sheriff's Department had some damage to some of their equipment and stuff in their department. Lightning struck it and messed it up. So a VACORP claim was filed in 2022, and we received it was a little over $83,000 for reimbursement for that. However, that money has not been carried over year to year that we know of from the VACORP. But this bill that we got was unexpected, but it's for completion of the upgrades for the system that was struck by lightning.
So you're saying that an insurance claim was made, the insurance claim was paid, somewhere in the neighborhood of $83,000, but it wasn't carried over from year to year until okay. So the money didn't vanish, it's still there.
It's still there, yes, sir.
I mean, it could have been.
It just wasn't carried over in the proper budget lines that it needed to be to catch up with this expense. And the only other two bills that we have received from Motorola Solutions was two of them, and one was about $6,000, the other one was a couple hundred. It wasn't much, but we were not expecting this big bill in this year. This was something that we had no.
Why did Motorola let it go so far before they was paid?
I don't really know. They billed. The first two bills looked like it was some small equipment, but this looks more like the completion of the overall construction or upgrades, whatever it is that they did.
My feeling is because we go on Kenwood.
That I don't know.
The new radio system's Kenwood, is not Motorola, right, Joy? Okay.
I did
Well,
provide the bill that we received for the 58,601 and with this budget adjustment that we're asking about, which I'll get to that in a second.
Ms. Douglas, what would be the statute of limitations on that? 3 years?
You're thinking just what I was thinking.
On a bill arriving from 2022, when was it done in 2022?
Well, the process for the claim was in 2022. This bill that we received was dated in January, but we didn't receive it until last month.
But the process for the claim was done in 2022?
Yes, sir.
So the work was rendered, it was open account in 2022, you need to find out how long that was for.
Is there any interest on this bill?
If we don't pay it by a certain date, I believe that they'll do like a finance charge or something
Well,
like
it's been
that.
it's been,
So clarify again, because I'm looking at the invoice. The transaction date was January 27th, 2025. Payment due date February 2025. When did you get this bill?
Last month. And we didn't pay it because we didn't know what this bill was for. As soon as we received it, we put it in the sheriff's box, and the sheriff asked us about it, and he also asked the Motorola Solutions representative what this was for, and we've been going back and forth. I've reached out to Baycorp to see if the claim was paid, because Michelle Graham said that this was connected to the lightning strike damage. So we were trying to research what that claim was and how many bills were processed to us and given. And the only thing that we have is that they've given us those 3 bills, which 2 of them have been paid. This is the last one for the completion of the project. And it says January, but we didn't receive it until last month.
but it
we
don't
tried
make,
to
it
submit
don't
it to
make
the
any
insurance?
difference when they put the date on it. It's when they completed the work. That's when the statute of limitation will start on open account, when they generated that first bill, and they didn't even bill you for it until now, and now they're writing on it from January 2025 for something that they done in 22. That's enough, board, that I suggest we don't make the payment without the attorney further looking into it.
Mr. Toth, let me ask you this, if you don't mind. If we don't pay it, do we have to pay Baycorp back because they paid us for it?
No, sir, that's your money to do what you well pleased to it. It's no different than putting a roof on your house. If it passes the next insurance, you can leave it the way it is. Is that right, Miss Attorney? Esquire?
Well,
Ask if there was any contract signed for the completion of this work? That I would have to ask the sheriff. I don't know what originated, since I wasn't with this position or any knowledge of this until recently. when we got-
has this new bill been resubmitted to
We
the
received
insurance
the money,
company
we
to
gotta
see if they
pay
would
it.
pay it?
No, we did not.
They paid it one time already.
Yeah.
But this is
Yeah, but
additional
she didn't
work.
get it till the other day. That's something.
But what
No,
I'm
this
saying
work is
is,
2
what
years
they
ago
should-
that they ain't sent us no bill on.
Right, I know.
Sheriff
Maybe
Jones,
3.
Can you weigh in?
See, if we send it back to the insurance company, let them make the legal argument for us.
I got a question.
Shit show.
I'm looking at this thing
It's
on
$58,000.
this bill sitting here. And it talks about packing list ship
So I had to
date.
follow it up.
We got a bunch of them on 11th of August 22. Then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 in January of 23. And then 26th of January 23, March of 23, 2 in February of 24, and then you got 2 that says ship date,
Yep.
27th
It's been
January
ongoing.
25. Now, what'd they ship, Sheriff?
That's gonna be stuff as far as the maintenance of it, the annual stuff that they have to do to the.
So there's no statute, we need to pay the bill.
That's the annual
We
stuff.
gotta pay the
We have
bill.
to
Oh,
pay
this
the
is-
bill. We got the insurance payment, we gotta pay the bill.
So this is not from the lightning strike, this is just what they do every year.
Stuff in 20, yeah, the stuff
There you
in
go.
2025.
So you saying this 58,601 is just stuff that was performed in 2025?
No, that was in 2022.
No, if you look on that
Right,
last
that was in
page,
2022,
They
Mr.
sent us a
Ingram.
total bill from 22 until current.
Right, that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah,
Good catch
But the
there.
58,601
that was for the 2 consoles that we had to replace, that were
was
destroyed.
done by the lightning.
Yeah, that was done by the light.
Well, why are they just billing us for it, Sheriff?
That I don't know, I've tried to find it out.
You know, if you call 100 people and get 2 of them to pay a bill that they didn't even do, they made a pretty good day depending on the money. I wouldn't pay it, not without her looking into it
Do
and
you,
seeing the signed contract.
Do you want to put this in on unfinished business next, we
Sure.
do some more?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
All right.
please research.
So can we divide K2, I don't know, y'all don't got me, so.
K2, you said earlier.
Yeah, K2, can we divide K2? How about the first part of Ms. Presley's plan, giving the $62,500 to the Nottoway County Emergency Squad for June to meet payroll?
Mr. Williams, could you come up front, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Logan, I
Thank you,
appreciate
Logan.
No,
that.
don't you go nowhere yet. I mean, no, you can sit over there, but Woodson, don't let her go nowhere yet.
I think I ought to send a bill to the county for some work I done about 3 years ago.
All right, so here we are, Mr. Williams. You're asking us to fund the squad. That's 62.5. That's gonna be 1 month, 24/7 of the squad.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Part of that agreement was that you, the Nottoway County Emergency Squad, was going to fund an additional ALS squad 24/7. And then the third one was gonna be run by Burkeville Emergency Services.
Yes.
Since these conversations have begun back 8 weeks ago, have you been able to run one ALS squad under the Nottoway County Emergency Squad 24/7?
Advanced level, not necessarily paramedic level. that is considered still advanced life support under current state guidelines. Not every truck has a paramedic on it. Some have a basic EMT and some have an advanced EMT.
Okay. The obligation that the county is considering, we want to be treated just like anybody else that's contracted with you. And that means if we decide we want an ALS squad 24/7, then the citizens in the county are paying for it, and that's what they get.
Yes, and that's one of the good things I think that's gonna come from this advisory board as well. With having the representation of this board on it, you're gonna see the people that are on it. I actually sent payroll information from the beginning of the year through Mr. Hyde today that hopefully got forwarded to the board. I know it went to Steve, that shows our payroll from January every month. So you can see those things. Like I said, we want to be fully transparent so you know what this service is costing you. And of course, our goal would love to have a paramedic on every truck. Sometimes that is not feasible based upon current staff levels of the people we have employed by us.
Yeah, you had said you had had some applications and
Yes,
we could figure funding
actively
out.
working on it. And part of this, where we're at now, is the recruitment part, where we're trying to still look as attractive for our local area based upon some of what Mr. Hyde has said locally. And I've been sending these things, and I'm sure you guys, as the board, have been getting some of these postings that are out. Like I've told you before, we can walk 100 miles in any direction, and we're all in the same boat, and we're fishing in the same pond for these same providers. So we are competitive at our salaries. We're not the highest. We're not the lowest. Like I said, we're a little bit above midline on what we pay, our benefits package and so forth. And that's all included in all the numbers we've been giving you guys over the last 3 months. So,
I have a question for Mr. Williams, because I'm not a savvy EMS person. Can you clarify for me, I know the difference between ALS and BLS, Advanced Life Support.
Yes, ma'am.
Does that mean they have to have a paramedic to be an ALS?
No, and that's what I was saying. The state of Virginia recognizes an advanced EMT as an advanced life support provider. They can do certain skill levels, and within the state right now, we have even another one. We have a basic EMT, an advanced EMT, a intermediate EMT, and a paramedic EMT. Paramedic is the highest trained. And like per se, the difference, because the intermediate is kind of going away because it's not recognized by what we call the National Registry, which is kind of the global recognized training facility for the country. Like little things that a paramedic can do, or one thing that a paramedic can do that an intermediate can do, is what's called a surgical cricothyrotomy. Intermediate can't cut a throat. Now, advanced EMTs can't give certain medicines or medications that a paramedic can. It's different levels. It's just like, per se, the difference between an LPN and an RN, physician's assistant, nurse practitioner, doctor. It's just the different levels within the industry. But advanced EMTs are considered advanced life support.
All right, well, we'll let the advisory board.
My next question leads to, thank you for the explanation. How many people do you have on the squad now that are capable of ALS providers versus how many contracted people out at Fast C that are ALS providers?
See, I don't have those numbers right in front of me. I can tell you that per our contract at the Fast C facility, each ambulance there is staffed by a paramedic and a basic EMT. Our ambulances that are on 911 have either a basic EMT, advanced EMT, or combination EMT paramedic. Just depends on the shift, because we run 24, 72-hour shifts, and the way those folks are partnered up. But you at least have that level.
The reason I'm asking all of this is because I'm concerned. I had a phone call, which y'all don't know what kind of call you're going to get, if it's going to be BLS or ALS. But there was a call, and the gentleman came to the squad house, and nobody could take him because there was no ALS provider there. So I don't think nobody was there.
There were
True.
2 squads running. We talked about that in the work session.
Yeah,
That was a day
actually,
that it was just
and I
busy.
can- Without giving away any HIPAA issues there, that particular call, if it's the one that I do know of, our system, when we have somebody come up to our door and ring our doorbell, it will ring on my phone, and I can then look on video camera and see that person there. And that particular person, if it is the same call or the same one, that particular evening was an extremely busy day. We had over 20-some 911 responses in the county that day. We actually had 2 ambulances on the road that day for Nottoway and 2 by Burkeville that were all out at that time. So we had 4 ambulances with boots on the ground, and we had another county here, because sometimes the 911 monster, you just can't.
And I'm glad you've mentioned the 20 calls, because people don't realize that the call volume, and when it's warmer weather, it's going up. And so when you only have 1 squad, and now we're hoping to get 2, and then you got Burkeville as a backup, when you got 20 calls, you got a real high likelihood of calling your mutual aid partners
Yes, ma'am,
in.
exactly.
And that's why it's so important that we
why I
fund
think-
all this.
Again, with having you guys as part of this advisory board and maybe even a citizen in the future, and like I say, I always welcome, kind of like what the young lady said with the school board. I welcome any time for somebody to come by and ask questions to learn, because it's important, because we see it all the time when somebody says, well, I need to go to this hospital that's 65 miles one way, versus what our assessment is, says, well, you've got this going on, we will take you to the closest appropriate hospital. That's all we're mandated to do by law.
I'm not grilling you, it's just, excuse me, John, I'm not grilling you, it's just, this is an educational
Yes, ma'am.
process for us. And when we're
For
talking
a lot of
about
people, yes,
putting
ma'am.
taxes on people to pay the bills, we need to know all we
Yes, ma'am,
can
I
know.
agree 100%.
Mr. Williams, would it help y'all to just possibly consider, so you can stretch what you got as far as your certifications, would it be any good to y'all just to hire drivers, certified EVOC? I mean, I'm sure we got some deputies that can handle them if they're looking for a part-time job or something, but of course I'm kidding, I'm not trying to throw anything over on
There
the deputies.
is,
But
and you have to seek, by just doing that, then you kind of falter with your ALS or the capability. There is a law within the state office EMS that says if you don't have an EMT at least driving you, you cannot practice at that ALS level. So there's special exemptions you have to get from the state to be able to do that, and you better really show some hard times to get those kind of exemptions. We did them probably 25 years ago when we had some of the same issues, when we had people that could get EVOC certified and drive, but just couldn't attain the EMT certification. So,
and the last part I was going to tell you real briefly, we appreciate all you guys have done. Y'all know I bleed emergency services here in this county.
Yes, sir.
And thank you all for what y'all done. But to know the difference in the volume right now, Burkeville last year ran, I think it was like 800 and some calls roughly. They've already run well over 400 this year. They're going to top over 1,000 calls.
and a lot of that's due to the partnership that we have with them. We work really well with, because and you know, quite honestly, they've had to pick up our slack because we've not been able to produce that second ambulance that we need to have on the street. Like last month, I sent the numbers. Our month responses last month was 158 responses last month. We typically do close to 200 or a little over responses per month. Those responses went directly to Burkeville last month, who helped us out.
Yeah,
we
and I mean,
still ran kind of the same call volume, maybe even a little bit more, but
yeah, we
Burkeville
can't wear out
helped us
what we got.
because of where we need to have our second ambulance on the road. We didn't have it. We didn't have the funding to pay
All right,
for those.
Mr. Williams, we certainly appreciate you coming up.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, sir.
And of
I'd like to
course,
ask-
we're here to help with whatever questions you have. Look forward to Mr. Toth and Mr. Rourke.
Likewise.
Advisory.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Go back to this.
I'd like a motion for 62.5 to be reappropriated to fund one squad for Nottoway County Emergency Squad after June 1st.
Second.
All in
He said he
favor?
liked the motion.
Oh,
I don't
well,
think he made the motion.
So move.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, Mr. Chairman, David and Mr. Fisher, we will have a check for you June 2nd, that Monday, for $62,500.
And again, God bless you all for what y'all do. And that's firefighters and all.
All right.
The other matter we're going to investigate for Motorola.
Yes, that'll be on unfinished business, sir. And see if I can give you some more information so y'all can make a decision. I think I know what Bo's already made his decision.
I surely have.
Yep, sounds like it.
He'll change his mind sometime. Anything else? So the consents are done. That was K1. So now we'll just get into our letters. Did anybody have any questions or comments about our letters that were here this month?
I would like to comment on L9, which is a DGS groundwater consultant survey. I attended the Crew Town Council meeting the other night, and Delegate Lee Ware said that we are moving right along with the water matter with the town of Crew. This letter is asking the board, which I believe Mr. Bowen gave permission for them to cross our property to do a geological survey in regards to this water. But Mr. Bowen, can you help clarify with that? I think it was a.
It looks like that they're looking at two different things right now. We got this Emery and Garrett is involved in two different projects, but anyway, they're looking at bringing a new water line through this property here, and what it's going to be behind the health department, right between the land their landowners right here. It might be between our land and their land, somewhere in that area, or bring a new water line, because they have to connect to the water line to go to the high school, which is actually across the other side of 460, Business 460. This right here was actually because they're looking at digging possibly wells. If you notice the address on that L9 is 200 Lewiston Temple.
Yes.
That's where our convenience center is. And so I don't know if they're looking at to dig wells to supply VCBR as another option, or I don't know what the purpose of that. I've been left out of the loop on that.
I think Mr. Miskovic explained it.
Yeah, he knows more about that than I
That
do.
I think the cart before the horse or something crossed. There was something in General Assembly that didn't pass, and this letter
Right.
was sent before this didn't
Okay,
pass.
I got you. So something to that, but that was the whole
to that
purpose.
effect.
And I put that in your package because you need to know that, and I won't go hinder any type of progress. Nothing against Crew, but if they were looking at wells, I know that VCBR and PGH they're looking at all options, so I didn't deny access to that. But I wanted y'all to know what I did.
Okay.
Run that line. Run that line.
Right. Yeah, I think if they get on people's property, like if since our neighbors are here today, they actually will pay for an easement to take that water line across your property. So.
All right, Mr. Bowen, I spent a day with one of our citizens, TJ Oliver, and there's been some changes in this legal case, and it's continued on. I guess I don't want to talk about it too much in the public, but any board members want to ask me about that, once the meeting's over, we'll do it. Just give me a call. Okay? L7.
He don't have L7.
No, that was sent to us, email.
Oh,
You don't have L7?
oh, I don't have it.
You don't have it? I got it.
Well, we done messed you up, Dickie,
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, there's
I
been
got it, but he said he don't have it.
things that happened, so I did
Right.
talk with our citizen. If you want to know what that was, I'll just give me a call.
All right.
All right?
But that case is still going on.
Yeah. So it's active. I mean, it's active.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else have any questions about any of their letters? And
Yeah, here we go. I got it now.
there you go. County Administrator report.
Just real short and sweet, because we got to get in closed session. Mr. Norton had been, asking about as the Finance Committee has asked about reconciling. Logan is we're hoping to get that done by the end of this month, and hopefully we'll give you another report, next month on that, how that's going. Also, I know John and Daphne spent some time on the HR policy. We got that drafted to complete, and I'm hoping I'm going to have that in your package in June to vote on for the starting for the July 1st date. And all we did, really, the other thing we did, we went to Region 4, and I'll let Ms. Norton and the chairman, you know, we did go to the Region 4 VACO meeting, and I'll leave that up to you guys and make that report. But other than that, what I've already told you is what I've been working on, and we got some stuff we got to go in closed session.
All right. Vice Chairman Norton?
I have some good news for y'all for a change. I did attend Monday night's Crewtown Council meeting. They had invited Lee Ware, Delegate Lee Ware, and Representative Senator Mulcahy. She sent her representative. And we have some progress moving forward. Lee Ware was very informative, and I'm sure Dickie knows about this, but they, back when Mr. Collins and myself and Mr. Bowen went to see Mr. Ware, we mentioned the extending the rails to trails into Burkeville. They have pursued that, and they are working with the departments of Parks and Recreation, and they will be giving us information. The town of Burkeville is already aware that they will be providing and moving on forward with the rails to trails to Burkeville, which is a wonderful economic advantage for them. Lee Ware also mentioned progress with the water. They didn't tell a lot of details because it's still under negotiation, but the water is moving forward. And for you folks that like events, the Chicken Festival is actually coming back. That's going to be October the 18th. They're working on that to come to the Crew Airport. And Crew is also under a process of revitalization for the entire town. It's very exciting. They're going to have a lot of things going on. So that is very, very good to hear progress.
All right.
Chicken Festival's always been good.
Supervisor Ingram?
Sorry I missed the work session, but hopefully what I had to have done is done. Appreciate y'all thinking about me. I'm very happy to see that the animal shelter project is moving right ahead. I'm kind of impressed with those folks that are doing the work. They look like they know what they're doing, and I know that Nottoway Cares Committee is very excited about this. And we had a, I guess you'd call it a grand opening of the building
They had a
one
kickoff.
Saturday.
They had a kickoff. Yeah.
And that was nice. It really was. And hopefully that's going to continue to go forward. And I've been thinking, and I know everybody on this board's been thinking about the emergency services situation that we have. And I can promise the citizens that this board's going to work to get it done for them, because that's who really counts, is the citizens of the county.
Amen.
Supervisor Rourt?
Yes, sir. Good. These two ladies have patiently waited here all night, and I would like to know for sure before we and they leave here tonight that we can get them some answers to their concerns. In other words, can that be stopped since there was a formal vote taken? Can, we can only assume that somehow or another something got misplaced. We don't want to think that we could have made a mistake that egregious, but it happens. But at the end of the day, I would like to make sure that y'all have the opportunity to sit down and talk with, whether it's Mr. Bowen or the chairman or vice chairman here, and get some reasonable answers to your questions, and then see what our legal team can advise us to be able to advise you in a timely manner here. So if we could do that, I'd like to see that. And Dickie, you weren't the only one that missed the last meeting. I did, and I'd like to briefly explain myself. About 7 or 8 weeks ago, I had a CT scan that showed that my brain was still swollen and my blood had not been reabsorbed on my brain. And I started experiencing some headaches a few weeks ago, and we went back and had another CT done. The good news was they believe my brain the swelling has gone or is at a bare minimum, and the blood has been reabsorbed. Good. So I was thinking that my issues I was having, it wasn't just tiredness, I was lethargic as well. So I thought it's just another part of the process to recover from the stroke. So last Thursday night, I was out. I was completely out. And I had not even told her that there was a work session. I mean, usually I can communicate that stuff to her. And this had been going on for over a week. Tuesday night, I ended up in the hospital again because my blood pressure bottomed out. And she had taken 4 blood pressures of mine. 2 of them were extremely low and 2 of them were normal. And she was taking me to Swift Creek ER, and I couldn't respond to her in the vehicle. So she turned around, went back to the house, and had called 911 on the way back to the house. And so I took a ride to the hospital Tuesday night. Now, she didn't want me to be here tonight, but God saved me for a reason. My colleague keeps bringing me back up here for the people in Nottoway County. Now, that might be a little vanity, but I hear this calling. When they're knocking on your door in tears, something's calling you. Like I said, God saved this heathen for a reason. I don't know what his plan is yet, but he saved me for a reason. But that was the reason why I missed the work session last week. So back to something, and I was actually shaking up here. Dick, you probably saw my pen sitting here when I was talking about the Commonwealth Attorney later. I'm trying to keep this even tone because this is not a personal attack. This was the citizens are fed up. They're fed up. Speaking back to one of those cases, that one case they said it took, I believe the gentleman sat in jail for 2 years, cost us $60,000 in per diem with not even a trial. Had to let him go couldn't have a speedy trial. There's other people that have been charged and walked away. There are shootings being done and nobody's been brought to justice. I'm not saying the ones that were charged were guilty. Don't get me wrong on that because I don't know, like I said earlier. But at the end of the day, bullets are flying, police officers are doing their job, and there's no convictions. We're not even getting a trial. So another thing, are we still $200,000 in the hole from the state right now?
100,000.
100,000.
We got 100.
Okay.
So we're still short another 100.
Okay.
And everybody's aware of that. So we're trying to fix that
Right.
all the way.
Right, and at the end of the day, that's through VCBR. And then, as I'm aware, I believe she stated to you that she was going to get better at getting those charges.
Get them back to VCBR.
Get them into court, get them back to final disposition, and get them back to VCBR so our citizens aren't paying for it and we don't get in this debt again. Guys, we cannot have anyone, elected or otherwise, working for this county, creating tax issues for our citizens, period. That's the reason why I stand on what I said earlier. It's not about a personal thing at all. She's a nice lady. God bless her. Just, if somebody else put their name on the ballot, I'm going to campaign for them. It's just the citizens are tired. The police officers are tired. And it's like I said earlier, I can count on my hands and feet from all 4 departments, and it still run out of fingers and toes, the number of officers that want her gone. That tells you your first line of defense for the safety of our people in Nottoway County want a different Commonwealth's attorney. They weren't allowed to come out and voice their opinion back in 2019. The former sheriff shut that down. But I wish they had it then. But I will be their voice now, and I will continue to be their voice because their work should not go unfinished because it goes into someone else's hand. And at the end of the day, again, my being here is to be in front of you folks and to serve the citizens of Nottoway County and work with this fine board. I love you guys, by the way. Is nothing short of a miracle. God saved my life. It was nothing else can do it. My wonderful wife, she has spent 3 months in the hospital with me. I believe she's gone through more than I have. And that's a testament to her love for me. And like I told you, Steve, I married up, brother.
Me and you both.
Yeah. But I may have had a stroke, but I still got the backs of the citizens here in Nottoway County. And I fully intend on, for those who have inquired, I fully intend on finishing my term out here. So we can kind of clear that misconception up in the public. And no, I was not down there doing interviews for mayor earlier. this rumor that I was moving to Blackstone and going to be the next mayor, it is completely false. It's not happening, okay?
That's the first I had heard of that.
Yeah.
Aaron, I thought I
I
caught
wish
up
it
on
was
you.
the first time I'd heard of it. You know, so, but nonetheless, thank y'all. God bless you all. I love you all, and I'll do all I can to keep working and making things better for this county with this group and any other group that needs us.
All right. Budget season is almost done.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make my
I'm
closing
sorry.
comments, please.
Mr. Toth, go.
He'd like to spit his water out. I don't have much to say other than I'm looking forward to dealing with our board and the advisory board on the EMS and making that a better position for our citizens to have responsive calls and have the right equipment and people on the ambulance to be able to do that. I'm glad John is back up here. I feel like he had a whole lot built up in him that he let out tonight, and a whole lot of he should have done it. So it's the old John back for sure, and I'm looking forward to working these next, how long we got left, 2.5 years? To see how that goes, to see how the next 4 may go.
That's right.
Lord willing.
That's it.
We accomplish some things, I'll stay. We don't, I ain't. We'll start with that $58,000 bogus bill, I think.
I'm with you on that one.
All right, we're almost done with budget season. I'd like all the citizens to come out, fill the room for us. It's in your newspaper. Look at the numbers, compare them, get an understanding up here, come up here and ask questions. That's what the public hearing is for. It's your money spent on your services, and come ask questions. I really appreciate it. Glad John's back. That Dickie's fine. You guys are fine?
Thank God for that, yeah.
All right.
I'm here, I don't know if I'm
Make
fine.
a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make that motion.
You're gonna read it.
Yeah, you got it.
You want me to read it?
Yeah, you got
All right, closed session. I move that the Board of Supervisors, Nottoway County, Virginia, adjourn into closed meeting pursuant to the Code of Virginia 2.23711, discussion or consideration of a question of real property for public purpose or for the disposition of publicity held real property where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position, negotiating strategy of the public body, specifically property located near Fort Barfoot.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.